Hi, I'm Allison Beers.
And I'm Chandramoy Mondal.
And we're excited to talk to you today about capitalizing on your edge with AI. As we all know, AI workloads are changing the demands at the edge. And the reason for that is really because the edge environment is completely different than your data center or your cloud environment for so many reasons, and several of them are listed here, but you have a distributed footprint and even perhaps different environmental conditions where you may need to be able to have devices that can survive in the heat or cold in a dusty or wet environment. We're really talking about OT workloads instead of IT workloads. And beyond that, you normally don't have qualified IT sitting in the locations where you have your edge. It's very difficult to secure in that type of an environment. And what this ultimately ends up creating is a lot of silos and proliferation. The edge has traditionally been very bespoke, with people building for individual use cases one at a time. And it's really today not set up and ready to scale. So what we'll talk about today is the fact that our point of view is that you need to have a more solid foundation on which to grow your edge. And the reason for that, you can see from these numbers, is because the edge is growing exponentially. With that, while we're very focused on generative AI, and that's all the buzz right now, the reality is that inferencing is going to be the majority of the growth in the future. And not only that, but the market itself is growing, and the growth rate is about an 18% compound annual growth rate. So we need to set up the right foundation so that we can be ready to scale at the edge. And truly, the moment is now. And the reason for this is because where we are on the hype cycle and the curve is really we're about to hit massive growth. So people today are in trials, they're in POC phase, they're thinking about and planning for this. And the moment is now, because as people are taking advantage of this, they are going to gain a competitive edge. And so it's important to begin thinking about what those challenges are that you'd like to solve at the edge, and then really start to work towards ensuring that you have an efficient way to deploy, secure, and manage your edge over time. We have so much growth that's going to be happening that the edge is actually set to outpace the data center in terms of growth. And you'll see this not just in terms of the actual AI revenue, but also even things like server growth is growing far faster at the edge. So Dell has a strategy to help get you there. And we talk about AI being in our technology. We talk about it being on our technology, and then with. And so you'll see here that we're working to create an easy button so that you can deploy your AI at scale at the edge, and do that with our broadest portfolio of devices, whether you need ruggedized devices at the edge or other form factors. We do have the broadest portfolio designed for the edge. And finally, we have AI-enabled industry solutions that we're delivering via a host of ecosystem partners. And the ecosystem is so important as we talk about the edge, because we're still in the early stages of this. And so it's not a winner take all at this moment. And we need to be able to partner with a large variety of organizations. And so with NativeEdge, we're helping customers to accelerate their innovation at the edge. And NativeEdge is our edge operations software platform. So it really allows you to do two main functions. The first is application orchestration, and the second is infrastructure management with our Dell NativeEdge enabled endpoints. And with this, you can now have centralized management to all of those edge locations in a zero trust, zero touch deployment way. And so what this is helping with is to automate a lot of the tasks that today are manual and error prone. And so our philosophy is that our customers should still be able to continue to choose the best application, IoT framework, and connect to any cloud that they need to via multi-cloud solutions. So we want to help customers to be able to overcome all those challenges that we talked about earlier at the edge, and to begin to scale. So an example of this, in this case, we're talking about a manufacturer who's trying to achieve things like real-time analytics. They want to do predictive maintenance and inventory management. They need to be able to do this in their OT environment, but with best practices from the IT world, including being very secure, breaking some of the data silos and other management silos that they have, and then being able to evolve over time so that they can have the right solution for exactly what they're trying to achieve. And how NativeEdge is helping with this is that we do have that multi-vendor support that enables them to have the freedom of choice to choose what they need for their particular use case. And we can do all of that in a zero-touch, zero-trust way. And we can do that on top of our AI-accelerated hardware portfolio. So the benefits to our customers is really that we're helping them to simplify their edge operations. We're able to optimize for AI at the edge. And finally, we're able to protect their entire edge estate so that they can be certain that they have a secure environment. And so now, Chanamai is going to talk a little bit more about AI workflows and use cases at the edge.
As Ali was saying, the AI workflows cut across the entire infrastructure from cloud to core to the edge. The reason being, there are many steps in that entire process, starting with data collection and data preparation. Once you have your data set, you need to train your model for the outcomes you are looking for. This model training is very compute intensive and typically happens in a large infrastructure placed in a cloud or core data center environment. Once the model is trained, you need to actually deploy it in an application for you to monetize what you have derived so far. This deployment happens across many devices, obviously at the edge. Now, when the new data comes in, the trained model predicts what it needs to deliver. This inferencing typically needs to happen at the edge. The reason being, there are various factors that influence. For example, low latency is one of the key requirements to make real-time decisions. If you are driving an autonomous vehicle, you really need to make the decision very, very quickly. You do not have the time to move the data back and forth to the cloud. You want to optimize your cost. You cannot transfer gigabytes of data over the wire to the cloud and get it back. That will run up your cloud bill pretty quickly. Sometimes you need to deliver outcomes in a localized fashion. For example, what you do in a rural store might be different than an urban store. And you want to achieve operational efficiency. To look at it, let's see from the beginning to the end. For your training data set, you typically have, for example, in an image recognition case, a large number of images, and you specify what those images are. You train the model, you save the model, and as you know, these models could have like billions of parameters. Now, if you are running these models in a high compute, GPU accelerated environment like cloud or core, that's probably fine. But since this need to run on the periphery, meaning like the IoT devices, sensors, cameras, etc., you really need to optimize it for the edge. So there are various techniques that gets used, like quantization, for the models to reduce the number of parameters. TensorFlow is the environment where you have actually trained the model and created it, but then you actually develop light models of this using TensorLite with less number of parameters that can deliver similar inferencing capabilities, but at a much lower footprint. So the output, when you see the new data, is pretty similar of what you trained, meaning you get an image and the inferencing model says like, this is a sea, this is a building, this is an airplane, so on and so forth. But this optimization from what you developed in the core to how you deploy at the edge is pretty important for getting best outcome in a cost-optimized manner. Now, the AI use cases at the edge are plenty, varying across the industries. Here, we walk you through a couple of them. Say, for example, when it comes to manufacturing, predictive maintenance, detecting anomaly on the production line, doing quality control, operational optimization, optimizing your supply chain. These are all use cases that are powered by AI. On the retail side, nowadays, with the power of Gen AI models, you can see as you are shopping, there are recommendations coming in for you that matches what you are actually looking for. So you get a much better experience. There are just-in-time inventory management, offline capabilities, autonomous vehicles for warehouse optimization. So you see a lot of AI use cases at the edge for retail. And we can go on, say, for example, like a smart grid where you balance the power utilization using AI. In healthcare, like where you get decisions made at the bedside with the power of AI. So these are becoming all prevalent at the edge, powered by AI, both from a software framework and edge AI accelerated hardware perspective. So how does Dell NativeEdge helps you with your AI workloads? There are two aspects to it. The first part is we see a widely varying diverse infrastructure at the edge for AI workloads. NativeEdge helps you to securely onboard and provision these devices with zero touch and zero trust. These NativeEdge endpoints range from gateways to PowerEdge to Optiplex and precision workstations. Now, beyond the NativeEdge endpoints, you can actually orchestrate AI applications and workloads with other infrastructure as well as other virtual and container environments. As you see here, there is a variety of ISV applications and AI frameworks that you can load. For example, you see NVIDIA TensorRT, you see Intel OpenVINO. These are AI frameworks that you can deploy automatically with the help of NativeEdge. You also see a variety of other ISV applications ranging from Cognex, Centrity, and pretty much like anything that you might be growing homegrown or you have in your portfolio, we can orchestrate and automate that for you. Now, the heart of this automation process is really NativeEdge blueprints. Think of it as a recipe for the solution with ingredients like application settings, infrastructure, resources, scripts, etc. This gives you the steps to complete a declarative automated deployment. So in the blueprint, you define what you want to do and not the how. Once the blueprint is ready, this is the YAML language specifications for the solution and the infrastructure, etc. The domain-specific language parser kicks in. It turns it into an execution plan, which in turn creates all the steps that are necessary to actually deploy this application. Say, for example, running the VM, loading the drivers, deploying the application, etc. So you land on your desired state of the final outcome. To show you how we are automating this, so let me walk you through an example. Now, this is the application orchestration piece. We assume you have already securely onboarded the endpoint with zero touch and zero trust. But when it comes to deploying your AI solution, what we are doing here. So the first step is you select the target edge devices on which you want to deploy the AI application. Then go back to the NativeEdge catalog where we have the blueprints for various applications. And again, you can create your own blueprint. Now, here, you can actually pick the partner solution that you want to deploy. After that, you specify the input parameters. For example, how much memory it should use, what are the GPU accelerators you want to use for this particular deployment. Then it creates the deployment execution, meaning the set of tasks that actually needs to happen for this solution to get deployed. And finally, you get the deployment output, which essentially is, say, for example, the application running in a VM or the application streaming to an website. So let us walk you through our turnkey AI solution on NativeEdge. So here we have the Cognex deployment blueprint that we are going to deploy on a NativeEdge endpoint XR PowerEdge server. Once it is deployed, we are going to log into the VM and show you how to run the Cognex modeling and how it is actually detecting the manufacturing defects. So let's roll. We log into NativeEdge UI. Here we go back to the device on which we want to deploy the application. Now we pick the Cognex application and specify various inputs. You can see we are going to pick the the NVIDIA GPU card. Once the input is done, we go back and start the deployment process. You can come to the screen and you can see the deployment is happening. It is doing the NVIDIA driver, Cognex software, all of those getting deployed. And as this deployment is finished, we can go back to the NativeEdge endpoint and double check that the VM is running with those applications. So once we verify that, we can log into the VM, we can start the Cognex modeling, and we can see as the images come in, it is inferencing in terms of whether the manufactured board is valid or it has defect. So you see those red dots, that essentially means that manufactured board has defects in it. So from soup to nuts, you see how we automated the entire deployment of the Cognex vision learning system using NativeEdge on the endpoints. Now, we are automating not only the ISV application through blueprints, but we are also automating different AI frameworks that you might need to use for your ISV applications or your homegrown applications. So for example, Intel worked with us to create the blueprints for OpenVINO, which helps to automatically deploy applications ranging from machine vision, time series, digital twin-based workloads, etc. And then we are partnering very closely with NVIDIA to bring in a lot of NVIDIA AI frameworks and SDKs to automatically deploy on NVIDIA accelerated hardware. So in this example, we are going to show you how we can automate the deployment of NVIDIA NIM powered models. For example, NanoOwl. This is the image transformation software, like where you get the image and it gives you the text of what it is seeing. In this blueprint, we are going to deploy the VM, install Docker, install NVIDIA driver, NanoOwl software built on NVIDIA Tensor IT engine for optimized inferencing at the edge. Now, once NanoOwl is deployed, we are going to stream data to that site and show you how it is detecting. So let's roll. Like the previous example, we pick the blueprint, we provide the input to the blueprint, for example, the NVIDIA GPU that we want to pass through for this particular VM. Now we deploy this on the endpoint. You can see the various steps that are being executed as this is getting deployed. At the end, you see the IP address where the service is now running. Now we go to that IP address and like we see the stream coming in. Our friend from the lab is here. And as you can see, like from this image, this is automatically detecting the face, nose, and then as he is bringing in the glasses, this is going to get added. He is going to have the cup bringing in, it detects that. And as you can see, once the cup is out of the frame, this is going to get moved out. See, this is happening automatically, inferencing like with NVIDIA Tensor RT for this NanoOwl model. NVIDIA has a lot of these AI frameworks and SDKs optimized for NVIDIA hardware and NVIDIA GPUs. We are working very closely with them to deliver the blueprints for all of these NVIDIA AI frameworks, ranging from NVIDIA Metropolis for video analytics, NVIDIA RIMA for speech and translation. We just saw the NVIDIA NIM deployment. So the benefit that you get here, this is the faster, easier deployment of all of your AI application in a zero-touch, zero-trust manner across your edge estate. And we do the lifecycle management of your applications and the NativeEdge endpoint infrastructure so that you can deliver value to your customer more quickly in a much more competitive and cost-optimized fashion.
Thanks, Chandamai. So just to wrap up, thanks for your time. And we know that the enterprise edge is really primed for AI adoption. And to do that, we need to have a platform on which to grow and build a scalable edge. And that really is NativeEdge. So NativeEdge enables that future-proof design so that you can have both infrastructure and applications delivered in a zero-trust, zero-touch way with cloud-native support. So as a next step, we'd encourage you to go to dell.com/nativeedge to learn more. You can actually set up a NativeEdge POC in as little as a day, and we'd love to connect with you more, so reach out to your account rep for more information. Thanks again for joining us today, and look forward to it next time.